Hey, good morning, everybody. This is KD2TFJ, and I'm doing a follow-up video on my DMR radio, the baofeng DM1701 is a DMR radio, of course, and I just programmed it yesterday, playing around with it to see if I was able to, I guess, get the understanding of how to program DMR radio, because online and most of the editorials that I see online are old. Some of them are mostly a year old, if not more. And any of the new ones, it's very hard to find any in the U.S. A lot of them are in Europe, where DMR really started off at. And the U.S. hams, and if anybody has a YouTube channel, it's probably a few that actually do editorials on how to get into ham radio and DMR radio. So, and also another thing is I haven't seen a lot, or if not any really good videos on how to program the baofeng 1701 that I have here. So what I want to do is bring that information to the masses so that people can have some reference point on how to get into DMR. And if you want to get into DMR, how do you program DMR first? First, how do you program DMR? What's the difference between analog, like this radio here, and DMR, which is that one there? There is a huge difference. I'll say a big difference. If you're used to programming analog radio, you know that you're actually just doing maybe 4 steps. You're going to put in the receive frequency. Most of the time it's an offset. It's going to do it by itself. Most programming now software does it on its own, and you don't really have to worry about doing the offset. That was one step that is a lot easier now. So you don't have that many steps to go to do things with, The other thing is you're going to put in a PL tone. Typically, that's all you have to do. There might be some other little things here and there, but mostly you're doing 3 to 4 steps to get your radio on a repeater. And if you're doing simplex, you're just putting in just one frequency and that's it. Simplex is not over repeater, so that's pretty simple. Now, away from analog, you're moving over into the DMR world. DMR is a totally different animal. Right now, I don't know if you can really see, but it keeps on lighting up, and because I have my program cable in, I'm not able to hear all these contacts right now. I'm on the North American 444, and I see some contacts right now, so I guess I can listen in.
Hopefully all the commotion will be over by then. There was a big water main break over by Lincoln Center. A lot of areas were flooded and a lot of streets were closed and some of the subways were closed and yada, yada, yada.
Sorry, it's the lighting for...
Oh my goodness. Well, hope nobody was too severely put out by that, but yeah, that could be pretty much a disaster there. So, anyway. Yeah, looks like it's a kind of cloudy day down here, but we'll be enjoying the warmer temperatures.
I'm trying to see where these guys are at.
Yeah, it feels colder than it is this morning. Maybe it's just the humidity's up, but we had some nice days. The weekend was beautiful. A nice little surprise in the middle of winter. And tried to take advantage of it as much as I could. But I still had paperwork to do inside. It seemed like a real shame.
So just
okay, very fine there, Jay.
doing a little, letting everybody hear what's going on the air.
It's a windy day though too, so
It works pretty good. So that was my first. I spoke to 2 contacts this morning. I believe Mike out in Florida I don't have his call sign right in front of me, but I had a contact out in Florida. He originally from the Bronx. How you doing, Mike? If you watching the video, and Steve, if I'm correct, he's in Long Island. And we were talking on New York Metro. So getting back into how programming works for DMR, as you can see, you can hear I programmed mine last night with one group, one of my areas that I programmed. So going over into how you program DMR, it is not as hard. It could be a little bit intimidating because a lot of people don't really understand what DMR is doing. DMR is a digital way of communication. It has a little bit more fundamental differences so that you can have more groups. See, now that's the thing between analog radio and DMR radio. Analog, you have to make a few steps to make it more private, maybe a private repeater, or so that you have different uses for it and different kinds of, I guess you could say, talk groups, if you want to try it that way. Now, DMR allows the radio to be coded so that it only is able to hear and or transmit in a certain way that only certain radios with a certain ID are able to get into a certain room and or a talk group. So it needs a little bit more information so that it can say this is the exact room or exact radio that I want to talk to. And anybody that's on there with the same information, with the same kind of radio, of course, with a DMR radio that's able to decode all of this different information, then you'll be able to get on specific groups. And it's almost like how, if you're an older school guy, ham radio operator, most people remember AOL. And AOL was a talk room, and it was very popular in the late 90s and early 2000s, about up to the mid 2000s. And what would the whole fun in talk groups and talk rooms back in the day, even Yahoo had it, was it gave you different ways to talk to certain people based on a certain thing. Even Boost Mobile had a talk group called Hooked T, and that was in the mid 2000s as well. And it was its own way of having a talk group that came built into Boost phones, and it was fun. You know, you was able to make your own little account, have your own little picture, and this is way before Facebook was out and stuff like that. Only at the time was, I think, MySpace. So at the time, it was very innovative. It was a way for people to get into a certain group of conversation. It had technology, it had automotive, it had a whole bunch of different rooms that you can get yourself into, and other people all over the place, all over the world, that was in that room can talk to each other, pass off each other's information, and you could probably talk on the private chirp at the time, the walkie-talkie feature that it had. Everybody's phone had a specific chirp number, and if you pass that over, you can talk to each other. And the rooms was very innovative. I played on it for a very long time in the early 2000s, like around 2005, 2006, 2007. If I'm correct, they have since gotten rid of it because there was a lot of issues with it. Prostitution started to take over onto it, so there was a whole heap of issues in around 2005, 2006. So they got rid of that. So it's no longer available. But that's how this thing works. You have different rooms, different talk groups, and we break it down into regions. And your region and or talk group is broken down so that you can talk to a specific area of the world. You can talk to the world. You can just put in the number of where you want to talk to, and you can easily over a hotspot or over a repeater that's DMR ready, and you can use that. It will uplink to the internet, and it will take that information just like a phone would, I guess you could say, over IP. It takes that information elsewhere, and it will go. You can listen and talk into that area. So that's how that works. Okay, so real quick, I want to try to do a little crash course on how you program a code into a DMR radio. Now, this is a free download. Let me see if I can go to the site that I was on to get this. Oh, let's see what's wrong here. The internet's probably not running right. Yeah. Sorry for that, guys. I didn't connect to my internet, which I don't know why. It didn't automatically connect. Let's get that done. Okay, so I had to get my internet in there. I'm sorry for the delay on that. So, okay, so I went to this radioid. I get this wrong. Oh, radio ID. Oh, I'm sorry. This is radio ID. I'm sorry. This is not the right one. This is how you would get your radio ID for using DMR. Okay, so this is radio oddity, and this is .com, and you can easily download any radio. For mine, this is a 1701. They have a bunch of different softwares that you can use, different radios. So let me go back into the programming here. And I'm going to give you a little crash course. This is a free download. I didn't have to pay nothing. I didn't even have to download anything at all. Only thing I had to do is download the program, the USB that came with it, just plug it into the radio, plug it into your thing, into your USB. Some people that might have a different computer probably have to make sure that their communication is in the right USB so that it can talk to the radio. So let's go ahead and show you what I had to do. First thing you're going to do, this is one of my programs already. First thing you're going to do is you're going to go on your left-hand side. All of these things look the same. Most of the programs that I've seen look exactly the same. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to digital contact. Right now you can see what I have here. Right? I already have one zone that's programmed in. So what you're doing here is you're putting in different code for a specific thing. And let's try to get a little focus here. Now that looks good. Okay. And so my first channel that I put is Parrot. Now, if you're not into DMR yet, Parrot is the way you would radio check. Instead of asking a person, which you can do also, but to see how you are connected to the repeater, how you sound over the repeater, this is an echo of your information, how it sounds to another person. So you know exactly how you sound over the repeater. If you're too far away from it, you get in packet loss. Like I had this morning actually talking, I had to use external antenna outside my window to hit the repeater in my area. I'm in Brooklyn right now, and the issue with Brooklyn is a lot of repeaters for some reason are either below line of sight, not really above me right now. I'm actually probably a little bit up in elevation, so I'm not hitting the repeaters as easily for some reason. So that is one of the issues out here. In the Bronx and Manhattan, a lot of them are on top of buildings, and you more likely will be able to catch it. And in the Bronx, it's a lot of mountains and a lot of repeaters on mountains or on top of buildings that's on top of high mountainous area, hilly areas. One thing about the Bronx, Yonkers, upstate New York, everything's a mountain up there. And everybody knows where to put their repeater at to get a good propagation, a good footprint area up there in the Bronx and in lower Westchester and upper Westchester counties and so on up there. So that's what program channel 1 I did. And as you can see, this is easy. You can go online and you can find where you want to go, what you want to do, what area you want to put in, what group you want to put in. I break it down by borough. Being that I'm in New York, I'm going to break it down by borough. This is my first attempt. So being that I got it right on my first attempt, which is a lot of people are telling me over the air that's amazing, because some of the longtime hams that's already been doing DMR that I've heard from said that they had to play around with it for a while before they got it correct. The reason why I got it right was not because I saw a bunch of videos. It's because I just followed what the thing was telling me to do on looking at my area, local DMR area. I just Googled my DMR area and I saw a bunch of different repeaters and a whole bunch of rooms, and I just looked at it and said, okay, so this goes here. It's like I plugged it in, and that's typically what you're doing. You're just plugging in the information based on what you want to be programmed. So this is what you first do. You jump into the digital contacts, right? How many channels you want? How many channels you want and how many different things that particular area has. You can put it all in one zone. You can put a whole entire area into one zone and have as many channels, depending on your radio, how many channels you want. Some radios are stuck at 16, and then you have to make another zone and then do another 16. My baofeng radio is not stuck on only 16, although it does have a knob, but it goes all the way around, so I can keep on going up until I reach the last radio channel that I have on there for zone, and that I can put as many as I want. So as you can see, this is how it works. I just added a contact and put up the name. The call type is either group call or private. Private is a different thing I'll get into. It just, as it sounds, it's private, more private. Then you have the call ID. Every group has a call ID, and that's how you get into that specific group. So the call ID, think of it as the PL tone, in a sense, for DMR. It will only allow you to talk to that particular ID, call ID, for that particular. So 9998 is always going to be parrot in my area, in most areas. New York Metro, no matter where you are in the world, New York Metro is going to be 444. North America, another group call, it's number 3. So no matter where you are in this country or in the world, if you put 3, more than likely you're going to get North America, where you are the names of these groups. I kept it simple. I kept the name of the group so that I know exactly what it is. You can put anything you want here on the left-hand side. That's the contact name. I got TAC 310, which everybody knows about. 310 is a real popular group worldwide, and Northeast Regional. And all these numbers that you see for the call ID is specific for that particular contact group. This is a group. These on the left, these contact names are all groups. Now you could program, let's say, a particular person. You could put their call ID inside here, and you can get them specifically that one radio. You can contact them like you're calling a phone. I will do that also. I have some contacts that I want to do that for. And of course, you can also make a contact for a specific person. Okay? So this is how that works. It sounds simple already. You're just putting in the contact information, what kind of call, it says call type, the call ID, and typically it does not have a received tone. Most of the time it doesn't have a received tone. Now private, I think more likely they do add a call tone or received tone, but most of the time there is no received tones for groups and stuff like that. Most of the time. So you just add all of this in, right? Now, this is my area. This is where I programmed it for my area. After you program everything, these steps are not as you see them, okay? So what I mean is, when you first add contacts, when you first add your contacts, they will be there. But what you have to do is go all the way down to channel information, right? So when you go down to channel information, I want to get you to see what that is. Okay? So as you can see, you have digital contacts. That's adding in the specific group, the name of the group, the contact name, the call type, and the call ID information. Then you're not going to go right here, right under it, and then go digital group calls. What you're going to do is you're going to go all the way down here to channel information. And what you do with channel information is you want to add how many channels you want, right? And what I do is I added 6 to start off with, because I had 6 in my digital contact when I first started. So down here, you mirror that. You mirror it. You say, okay, I got 6 contacts that I add, or whatever amount did you add it in your digital contact group, or whatever, if you're adding a different zone or whatever, what have you. You go down to channel information. I already have my channels listed. I already did this. This is my first one that I attempted, that I have programmed correctly in my radio. This is my code. This is my first code link, how you would call. So when you go here, now you're going to make this thing come together. Let me get this settled up here. So as you can see, at the top, the channel mode is digital. I have a digital and an analog radio. So some people that have only a digital DMR radio, you won't even have to worry about that first thing up there. But most radios are both analog and digital. So you put a digital contact, so it's digital. The name of it is Parrot. All that stuff on the left side, the 12.5 kilohertz and stuff like that, don't touch unless you really have to. What you're going to do is on the right-hand side, you're going to add the name that you want to see on your radio, displayed on the radio. Then after you put the name, you're going to put in the repeater information. That's one thing that a lot of people don't understand. Either your hotspot or your repeater information is going to be put there. The receive frequency and the offset frequency, what would be the transmit frequency, is at the bottom. Doing the offset is pretty simple. It's plus or minus 5 megahertz. So pretty much you're just doing a simple math. If it doesn't show you exactly what is the transmit frequency, you just do a simple little math, take away or add, and you'll get your transmit frequency. That is typically it right there. You're almost done. Okay? This is not like, rocket science. This is how you plug it in. This is easy as it can get for any of you guys that are new, that don't understand how to get this thing started. Then on the right hand side, now every program have the same information that you need to set up a DMR radio. So what you're seeing on my screen is typically what you're going to see on any other programming. Sorry for that. I was trying to get down here. Okay, look. The contact name, that's the one, that information right there is going to show you, bear with me for a second, what you put in your digital contact. So anything you added to your digital contact information will be here. Contact name. And being that the first contact that I put was Parrot, and I programmed it, the name, channel name for Parrot, you can do it any which way you want, but I just kept it simple. The first one, I want it for my first channel. The second one, I want it for my second channel, and so on. You can do it any which way that you want. Let's say you wanted to do New York Metro for your first channel. Then you will put up there on your channel name, you can put New York Metro, same repeater information, because that's your area that you're going to use. That's the area that you're going to use. So being that this is all the way out here, see, I can do these, I can use a different repeater in the Bronx and still be able to contact these contacts, but this is the repeater that I'm using out here. So this is my zone. So that's how you understand where you are. So if you have multiple zones, and let's say you travel, like me, you're traveling from different state to state or borough to borough if you're in a city or what have you, you do it by zone. So being that this is Brooklyn, I made a zone for Brooklyn. Then for the Bronx, I'm going to make a zone for the Bronx and then Manhattan, so that I am able to use a repeater in those areas or just link to a repeater or a hotspot. I'm going to get a hotspot soon, so then I won't have to really worry about a repeater system. I'll just be worrying about my hotspot. But if you're using a repeater system, just know where you are, hook up the repeater, see if you can contact that repeater without any issue. And if you connect to a good repeater in your area, stay with it, and now you can make your contacts. So that's how I started off mine. This is my zone in Brooklyn. Excuse me. So only thing you're doing is plugging in this information. Okay? So that was it. I put group as my area. And then look, the last thing you're worrying about, the color code. And all of that is in the information where you go online and you want to program in any of these same things. All of it is the same. Google DMR radio in my area, and it will show you all of this information. The color code is 1 for this particular thing, and all the rest of the information. And it's just a matter of plugging in all those different things in, so that your information is saved correctly, so you can make these contacts. Okay, so that's it. That is it. In a nutshell, that is it. Okay? Going over to the left-hand side again, guys. The first thing you're going to go to is where you see digital contact. You're going to add as many contacts as you want. Then you go down to the channel information. Let me clear that up. You're going to, it's digital contacts. So if it doesn't matter how many you want to add, you add it up there, depending on your radio, guys. Some people cannot put more than 16 channels. So when you add digital contact, you can add as many digital contacts as you want, right? And then when you zone it, in which way you want to do it, you can put it in a channel way that it works for you. So you can add as much as you want up here, but when you get over here to your contact name information, it will be there. with all the information that I showed you in the digital contact information. So let's go over there real fast again so that you can see what I mean. So like I said, you can have a whole bunch of information on this side over here, because this is going to really be filling up, depending on how much memory your radio can hold. This is going to fill up with a whole bunch of contacts. And that's why these DMR radios have over 1,000 plus channels that you can save, because they know you're going to probably end up with a whole lot of information saved on your radio. So you can save well over 900 plus, 1,000 plus. Some of the better radios are 1,000 plus. My radio holds over 1,000 contacts. So that's, you can put as many as there. You go down to your channel information. You add, right click on this. I'm gonna right click on it. And then you add your add channels. Then you click on the new channel. You rename it in here. You rename it, right? You put in the repeater information that if you're programming in a repeater. That's easiest. If most people that know how to do analog information, that's simple enough, right? Without the PL tone, because you're not using the PL tone. Oh, and one more thing I wanted to add. Good thing I saw it. Being that these are digital radios, guys, you have the option of keeping your radio from transmitting over other people. So your radio knows when it's getting information in on a specific channel that you're talking on, and you can have it where it only allows you to push to talk. When you push to talk that button and somebody else talking, it's going to give you audio sounds that would tell you, no, you cannot talk. Okay? And you can keep it as always being able to transmit, but I find it smarter and more courteous to other hams and other stations out there that are already talking, not to be able to over talk or step on other people, because no matter where they are, if they're on that station and you can hear them and you push to talk, you're going to automatically come over on top of them. It's going to distort, and neither one of y'all going to probably be able to be heard. That's not fun. It's always very courteous in a ham field, and any kind of radio system that you're using, GMRS radio, CB radio, it doesn't matter which radio you want. If you hear somebody loud and clear on your end, they are more than likely going to be able to hear you loud and clear on their end. And if they're already having a conversation, it's better to allow them to finish that conversation, and then when you hear a break or a stop long enough, then you can transmit your call sign and so forth. So that's another thing that all DMR radios are able to do, no matter